It started with a job nobody wanted and a man everyone overlooked. His name wasn't Daniel Carter here. Let's call him Marcus Lane. 43, rail thin from double shifts and single meals, a father who had lost more than most men could carry. He walked into a glittering tech tower downtown, just looking for a mop and a paycheck. But what he found on the top floor would rewrite everything he thought he knew about redemption. Marcus wasn't a typical hire. His boots were scuffed, his coat threadbare, but his eyes clear. Steady, trained from years in pediatric care, missed nothing. He didn't beg. He just said, "Let me mop a floor while you decide." That little bit of dignity got him a badge on a green lanyard. No smile, just a whisper of thank you under his breath. On his first night, he rode the elevator to a floor he wasn't supposed to see. The whole place was glass and steel high above the city, like an aquarium for the rich. And there she was, a little girl curled by a window clutching a stuffed giraffe, still as a photograph. Her name was Chloe Stone, the only daughter of the CEO, Miranda Stone. On paper, Chloe was blind born without the ability to see light. In reality, Marcus wasn't so sure. He'd spent years watching sick kids tilt their heads toward IV-drip sunlight, tiny flickers of hope. And when he swabbed a patch of marble and caught a ray of sun bouncing onto Chloe's cheek, he saw it a twitch, the tiniest flutter of her brow. No one reacts to light like that if they can't sense it. He froze, heart hammering. Through a wall of tinted glass, Miranda stood watching, tall and cold espresso in hand. She'd seen janitors come and go. None had paused. None had noticed her daughter. This one did. Marcus kept it to himself at first. He was told no eye contact, no questions, no interaction with the protected resident. He signed the NDA anyway. But each night he noticed patterns when the blinds shifted, Chloe's head tilted, when the wet floor sign had a reflective strip. She paused. He started small experiments, swapping a dull bin for a bright yellow one. She touched it, dangling a silver keychain in sunlight. Her eyes moved. He filled a spiral notebook like a secret map, time reaction color. The word suppression crept into his notes. Then came the flashlight test. A soft amber glow meant for pipe leaks, not children. Marcus crouched outside the glass, sweeping a thin beam across the floor. Chloe blinked twice, whispered one fragile word she hadn't spoken in years. Yellow. It hit him like a freight train. She could see. Not fully, not clearly, but she could. The door opened behind him. "What are you doing in here?" Miranda's voice was colder than the marble under his knees. "Cleaning," he said, hiding the flashlight. Her eyes narrowed. With a flashlight in a restricted zone. He swallowed. Overhead lights out. She crossed her arms. "She doesn't see. She doesn't speak. That's what the doctors told me." Marcus met her eyes and said quietly, "Maybe somebody should imagine something else for a change." She fired him on the spot. But the next morning she showed up at the janitor's annex, soaked in rain, holding Chloe's giraffe. Her armor cracked just enough for one sentence. She said "Mama" last night. That's how Marcus came back, not as a janitor, but as an observer. He dove into her routines, her files, her therapy logs. Something didn't add up. Chloe's reactions were strongest before her daily eye drops, not after. The label said it was for retinal inflammation. He knew better. He sent a sample to a lab he trusted under another name. While waiting for results, he kept playing quiet games with Chloe, rolling a tennis ball through a sun patch, hiding a reflective strip behind a plant. Each time she tracked, smiled faintly, or whispered yellow. Behind the glass, Miranda began to cry for real. Years of believing her daughter was lost, and now watching her reach for the light. Then the lab report arrived like a bomb. The drug was a dilation agent safe for single-use exams, but given daily for years, it suppressed pupil reflex, damaged optic nerves, kept the brain from processing light. Chloe hadn't been born blind. She'd been pharmacologically blinded. Miranda wanted to deny it. She'd trusted the best specialists, even co-funded the clinic. But Marcus laid out the highlighted pages, one prescription after another, signed by the same physician. The company she built had poured millions into a trial run by that physician's partner. The clinic's real memo spoke of optic suppression and do not disclose to parents. They tracked down a former pediatric nurse who'd blown the whistle years ago. She handed over a flash drive of internal emails and dosage charts. "These aren't just numbers," she said. "They're children." That night, Miranda stared at the drive like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Marcus said softly, "If you don't go public, they'll rewrite the story before the ink dries." The board tried to corner her. "Contain this," hissed the CFO. "One child's tragedy can't dictate a billion-dollar company." Miranda stood taller. "Watch me." She terminated every contract tied to the clinic, called the FDA herself, and prepared a statement that would torch her own reputation. And then, in the quiet between storms, came the miracle. Sunlight spilled across the nursery rug. Chloe squinted, whispered, "It's not just yellow, it's warm." Miranda dropped to her knees, hands trembling, and asked, "Sweetheart, what color is Mommy's dress?" Chloe looked straight at her and whispered, "Blue." For the first time in years, Miranda didn't hold back the sob. That press conference wasn't staged for cameras. It was a reckoning. Miranda stood at the podium and said, "I believed in progress more than pause in science, more than silence. My daughter paid the price. A janitor saw what I didn't. His name is Marcus Lane." She handed the FDA a fat dossier of files and emails. Reporters shouted, but one question cut through. "Is this a PR move?" Miranda answered. "Silence is profitable. My daughter's voice is worth more." Within weeks, the doctor was arrested. Federal investigations launched. A new wing opened downtown, not for research, but for rehabilitation. Kids once labeled incurable sat with colored pencils sketching suns and hearts. Chloe's own art hung front and center, 3 figures under a big yellow sun: Mom, me, and Mr. Janitor. Marcus stayed out of the spotlight. He brewed his coffee at a corner table, staring at a small origami sun Chloe had folded for him. He'd come looking for a job, not redemption. He'd found both. Miranda rebuilt her company from the ground up, this time with pediatric ethics carved into every contract. She said to Marcus one evening, watching Chloe run circles in the garden, "I used to think power meant control. But it's letting the truth breathe even when it tears you apart." Marcus just smiled. "You're about to lose a lot," he said. "Stock value, board, trust, legacy." She shook her head. "No, I'm about to rebuild it." Months later, Chloe launched her first gallery show. Her drawings weren't just suns anymore, they were whole worlds. One picture showed a tall man with a mop and warm eyes, a woman with tear tracks, and a little girl holding their hands. The caption in shaky letters read, "You helped me see." When I tell people this story, they think it's about a blind girl seeing again. But it's also about the janitor who wouldn't look away, and the mother who stopped hiding behind a company logo. It's about how the quietest person in the room can change everything when they decide to act. And now it's your turn. What do you see in this story? A hero, a villain, or just a broken system that needs more eyes on it? Drop your thoughts below. Have you ever witnessed someone society overlooked do something extraordinary? Or have you ever been that person no one saw until one day they did? Comment your city or your country and tell us your story. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want more real-life stories like this. Stories that start in the shadows but end in the light. Because sometimes the brightest light comes from the quietest room. And sometimes it starts with a janitor who refused to look away.